Nagpur. Dr. Amol Bhavane, sir, Assistant Professor Nephrology at AIMS Nagpur. Welcome, everyone, sir. So, sir, can we start now? So, first question for Anil Kumar, sir. Sir,
Yes, sir.
what are the initiatives that NATO has undertaken to promote donation after circulatory death in India, and how can these efforts be scaled up nationally?
Basically, what we see that there is a lot of, apprehension whether the DCD is permissible or not permissible. So that is one apprehension that we see in almost every, professional, particularly even those who are working in. So, like whenever we get the opportunity, we tell them that DCD, donation after cardiac death, is legally permissible. So why we say that? Because the Transplantation of Human Organs and Tissues Act clearly defines who is a deceased person. So deceased person means anyone who has died either in a cardiopulmonary sense or after cardiopulmonary sense means or after brainstem death. So cardiopulmonary death means the DC, that is the donation after the heart has stopped. So like what is feasible, what is not feasible, that is a separate issue. But some people stating that the DCD, donation after cardiac death, is not permissible. So that is one challenge that we have to clarify, and that we have been clarifying quite repeatedly. And we have not been formally writing because we want to have guidelines, national guidelines on DCD, so that we can, like with the support of everyone, and if we can issue national guidelines on DCD, so at least then we will be able to be more authentically stating that the DCD, these are the DCD guideline, and DCD is very well permissible. And definitely there are certain things, because as the DCD is conducted in other countries, so whether like in a controlled environment where they withdraw the life support, so that way we have to issue guideline. If we have to, we have to see what is permissible, what is not permissible. So that we are trying to, and we have also asked from the ministry side to at least disseminate the guidelines of withdrawal of life support, which have been issued by, by the guidelines of life support, which have been issued by the by the Honorable Supreme Court. And those guidelines, I think, have already been circulated by the concerned division to all the states. And so that withdrawal of life support, how the withdrawal of life support is can take place. So that is also what is permissible as of now by the Supreme Court. But that withdrawal of life support is a situation where the person is not yet dead. It is a futility of care, and it is a situation of futility of care where we constitute two boards, one primary board of the hospital and another secondary board, where a representative of district CMO is also a member of that board. And and when you are withdrawing, if that time the cardiac death happens, so that can be further extended to the donation after cardiac death in those withdrawal situations also. But for that we need clear guidelines to be issued nationally, and that is yet not there. So that is the main lacunae that we are having as of now, and we are realizing that, and we want to issue guidelines with the with all the experts, in consensus of all the experts. There are position papers which are available, but we want to issue consensus guidelines, and which can be issued, and which are as we are now moving into this field, donation. But one thing we have been repeatedly clarifying, that donation after cardiac death is permissible. So,
Thank you very much, sir. Dr. Ashish Sharma, sir, you are the pioneer of DCD in India. So, as pioneer, what were some of the early challenges you faced in setting up the DCD program, and how were these challenges overcome? Ashish, sir.
The early challenges are basically nobody is aware, and a lot of questions are being raised whether it is legal or not legal. Your own colleagues try to do the opposite, that okay, it is not permissible, there's nothing in the law which is written. But I think if you have the proper consenting process, if your family is agreed and they know, they understand the processes, so I think then the legal challenges are you can actually overcome, right? So we made sure that the family, I mean, the first, we were lucky that the first family came on their own. So that was a patient with the interstitial lung disease and was not suitable for transplant. So they knew the worth of organs and about the organ failures, and they themselves came and they volunteered. So at that time we were also not prepared, but then we told them, look, we cannot withdraw her from the ventilatory support, but yes, if she has a cardiac arrest, then we'll be able to proceed if we are able to do it in time. So that way we could proceed, and we went ahead with the first transplant. So the first transplant, I mean, one kidney did not function. So we did, both kidneys were used, but one kidney did not function, primary non-function. That was a disaster. So for next 3 years, we did not dare to do it again. But then, as luck would have it, there was another brain dead donor who was being evaluated for organ donation. So the family was aware, the consenting had already been done. So, but at the last moment, the committee did not agree for certifying brain death because I think sodium was high. So again, but everything had already been done. Our process starts much earlier. So since and the patient this time, the donor was very young, not like the lady with interstitial lung disease who was elderly. So he had a cardiac arrest, so we proceeded, and that at that time.
Sir, your volume is low. I don't know whether I'm hearing low or is it for everyone? Because yeah, you can't. Please be little louder if you can.
Is it better now?
Now it is better.
Yes, better.
Now better, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Right. So I don't know. So should I repeat it again, or should I just proceed? So I'll just carry on with my. So our second patient was young. So first was old lady. So and the times, I mean, we could not anticipate a lot of things. So getting the patient to the theater and then taking out the kidneys took a long time. So it probably took about, I think, 80-90 minutes. And one kidney did not function. So next 3 years we couldn't even dare to do it. So the second recipient was brain dead, but could not be certified as there was hesitation from the brain stem death committee that the sodium was high, and but the recipients had already been called. So we start our processes much earlier at the time of identification and when we do the consenting for the brain death certification. So that patient had an arrest and it happened in the daytime, so we were all there. So and we could actually do it in a very short period of time, and from there on it just carried on. So I think that was the turning point, that we could do the first one. The second one we could do it absolutely successfully, and he enjoys the kidney function. Creatinine, he still comes for a follow-up with a creatinine of 0.9. I think now it's for 10 years. So that's how we could start.
Thank you, sir. That is a great start, sir, and it's a pioneer work in India, done in India. Sanjay Kolte, sir, under your guidance, AIMS Nagpur by Dr. Amol Bhavane and his team, the DCD was performed successfully. So, how does ZTCC Nagpur it works towards promoting DCD in this region, and what are the success stories or challenges encountered by you, sir?
Yeah, thank you, Saurabh, for this opportunity. And thank you, Dr. Sharma, for having pioneered this cause. We were lucky to have his paper very elaborately published and ahead of us for us to take examples from. So as ZTCC Nagpur, we were really geared up in taking this up on a war footing. And during the Isot 2022, we had a complete half-day session on DCD, wherein we thought of making our transplant community aware about what the actual concept. And Dr. Vivek Kutte had a presentation for about and they both answered all the queries of our professionals in whatever they have about the DCD. The ensuing 1.5 years, we are just looking forward to the opportunities wherein we would get a patient who would be willing to, the family would be willing to donate, and some recipients that would be willing to take it up. And fortunately, with AIMS and the people in AIMS, Dr. Amol, Dr. Manish, who is the medical superintendent, and myself being the ZTCC. So the clinicians, the administrators, and the policy regulators, all three cohesively were motivated towards making it happen. And the first patient was fortunately a patient who had a one apnea successfully done. I am sure Amol will now elaborate upon it. But basically, what I want to tell now is that the ZTCC had initially concentrated on motivating the transplant community into knowing this concept and considering it, uh, and be on the lookout for the opportunities where and whenever they would come across. Unfortunately, on the 3rd of December 2023, we got the first opportunity at AIMS Nagpur. We went ahead with doing it, and both the kidneys worked very well after initial shutdown for about 4 or 5 days. And both of them were discharged, and that was a very encouraging start for us to subsequently consider the second and third also, as Amol will subsequently elaborately let us know.
Thank you, sir. Amol, sir, sir, as sir told you, can you elaborate the whole story? And from a nephrologist perspective, how can DCD help address the growing demand of kidney transplants in India? Amol, sir.
Yes, sir. Sir, thank you for the opportunity, and thank you all learned panelists here. So we were to start our transplant program. So it is something like unusual things that we thought in the direction that before even doing our first transplant, we were in the promoting organ donations. The AIMS Nagpur has not got permission in 2022. Still, we tried to identify 2 brain dead patients and we transfer it to the other center because we don't have permission at that time. Later on, we got permission in the same December 2022. We done our first kidney transplantation in the May 23, and within 24 hours, we had done one BSD. So in a span of 24 hours, we started with live and disease both. So that's how we started it. We thought we'll take the way it is coming. So like now the usual stories that the people first start some live donation program, and after some say 50 or 60, then start toward the disease donation. So we started in some untraditional routes, ways. So after 6 months, by the 6 months, around out of now we have done 29 patients. Out of that, 21 is from the deceased donor. So majority chunk is from the deceased donor. So we are, as Dr. Sanjay Kolte sir told, that we are also geared up for the DCD. We were looking for the opportunity. So in our first patient at 3rd of December, we were done first apnea. The first apnea was positive. The patient family is very encouraging, and that is the last wish of that patient. The husband is like, we want to donate somehow. Please make it happen. So we were trying for second apnea, but the criteria for doing a second apnea is not fulfilling. The patient went to hypotension. There were arrhythmias going on. So we told the family that, see, it is not possible from our side. It doesn't look to be possible because we are not able to do apnea test. So the family was like, please find out some ways or some way. So we had an example of PGI Chandigarh on IKDRC. So we told them that we are doing it first times. We don't know because there is a lot of uncertainties. So one thing is there is a labor intensive and resource intensive things with a lot of uncertainties in them. So we told them everything, we explained everything. They are like, yeah, okay, we want to go ahead, and they have given DNR also. So we shifted to the patient to the OT, and we have done our first DCD. That's how it's happened. So that is the story of our first DCD. And something like one things will influence the other things. So what happened? It's got wide spread awareness, publication in the papers, newspapers, and all these things. Since this was the first DCD of our first DCD in the Maharashtra also. So what at the time of in the month of April, there was one young patient which is admitted outside. He has having long QT syndrome. He got arrested at home also, home only. The family was educated. They done a CPR at home and they shifted them to some private hospital, where the patient has recurrent cardiac arrest and has hypoxic brain injury. So the panel of neurologists told them that now it is a devastating brain injury and there is a futility of care. It is not possible. But their mother and father, since he is the only child, his elder brother was died just 1 year back. So they are like, no, we want to donate the organ. But that hospital were not having that facility. So they know that now the DCD has been done, first DCD at AIMS. So they bring that patient here in the AIMS with the hope that they could donate the organ. So that's how the first story influenced the others. And then what's happening is that we are tried best for normal DBD, try to do a apnea test, but that is not happening. There are some reflexes, there are some deep reflexes, and there are some conditions which are precluding to do a apnea test. So we told them that it is not possible. Then we tried to find that recently that there was a advanced medical directive. We were exploring that option also, but suddenly at the middle of the night, patient crash, and there was already a family was too much motivated. Even they donate their body to the anatomy department after donating the organ. So that's how the second DCD happened. Story of third DCD is also interesting. In the early morning, in the night, we had one AB positive DBD donation of the brain dead, normal DBD. So in the morning, we used to have a good honor, the honor corridoriums, and we give guard of honor to the patients. Usually, we used to give a guard of honor in the administrative building near the OPD where less people. Now, recently, we shifted that to the area where there is an emergency, there is open place in the emergency. So in that, while giving guard of honor, there is another patient, polytrauma patient is having in the emergency. His wife was in that guard of honor. So as our surgery is completing, Kolte sir must be knowing that the last ureter anastomosis was going on, and that family is told that no, we also want to donate the organ. So luckily, that is also AB positive. And that patient we shifted for doing a apnea test, but that patient crashed in the ICU only. So we already had a recipient. Generally, we called 5 recipients for one deceased donor kidney. So luckily, we had a recipient. We had an opportunity. We tapped that opportunity, and that's how the third DCD happened. Regarding the bridging the gap, we already know there are, as a nephrologist and as all the community, that there are more of yearly around 2 lakhs kidneys are needed, but we are just transplanting around 10,000 kidneys, which is very minuscule. Our organ donation rate is far less than 1. So to have a self-sufficiency, it is need to be around 60. So there is a way to go. We are already overstretching the living donor pools. It is beyond stretchable now. So it is only things we can bridge that gap is the promoting disease organ donation, and with that DCD will get promoted as it is. So that's how is our side of stories.
Thank you, Amol sir, for the this inspiring story, and it will certainly influence and motivate all of us to do more DCDs in our institutions. So, Anil Kumar sir, the next question is for you, sir. Sir, are there any specific legislative or regulatory challenges that need to be addressed to make DCD more widely accepted and implemented across India? Anil sir.
Basically, challenges are there that we want to do it the way it is done in the Western world, where we, in a controlled situation, where we understand that it is a situation of futility of care, but we withdraw the treatment in a controlled situation. Right now, the Supreme Court has allowed us withdrawal only in futility of care cases through constitution of 2 boards, and those 2 boards will take time and for their meetings to happen. But these issues of DCD, they will come very suddenly, Like person one first brainstem death has happened already, second brain certified already, and the second apnea test we are second like set of testing we are waiting. The patient now crashes. So in those situations, like right now we have a legal provision that we will request for organ donation only after the person is declared brainstem dead. But if we, in such situation, if we have not circulated the alert, we have not identified the recipient in advance, we don't have we are not ready, and our teams are not ready. So we need efficient team, we need patient identified in advance, and we have a consent also available from the family for organ donation. Families more than willing. And then another challenge is whether we will be able to transport these DCD organ to the other institutions, because right now in most of these cases, it is within the same institution. The organ has been, except I think this recent one, which was from the command hospital Chandi Mandir, which was transported to Delhi. And till now, we have been able to do only for kidney, and but in other part of the world, we have been able to do for, even heart also. So DCD heart has also been done. Liver has been done. So we would like to expand the scope, and we would like to have, all these provisions to be made, like where the family is counseled well in advance, and we know that this is a situation of futility of care. In a controlled environment, we are withdrawing the treatment. And then there are other challenges, like whether we can do anti-mortem cannulations for, or we can do any medications can be inserted in before the person is heart stops, like heparin or things like that, so that the blood doesn't clot when the person heart stops. So all those challenges are there, which are both legal, ethical, and medical challenges, and which need to be overcome. And then if we are able to, frame good guidelines, and within the Transplant Act framework, and moreover also, removing all these like, if perhaps it may be more feasible when the person had already pledged, like we have now a Aadhaar based pledge registry. So if such a person who has already consented for organ donation, and if those pledges are respected, families aware of it, and they want to donate, so in those situations we have the consent in advance, because that is what we should have, consent available in advance in such to make it more feasible. Patients should be identified in advance, and then we have an efficient team which is able to, do the quick retrieval and management of the, like where the organ functionality can be maintained, reducing the cold ischemia time, like once you are so that's all we have to, take care. And if we have to transport this organ to another institution, then we perhaps have to, look at all the ischemia times parameters to be taken care of. So these are the, I think, the main challenges that we have, which need to be overcome.
Thank you, sir. Sir, next question, Ashish Sharma, sir. Sir, you have already told about the clinical outcome about the graft survival of the first DCD. So, in your cohort, sir, what were the clinical outcomes if we compare with DBD? So, particularly in terms of graft survival or patient survival, were they different, or are they better?
So immediate concern is the immediate function, right? So long-term outcomes are, the literature is very clear, and our results also show that the long-term outlook is great. The concern is the immediate function, so that will depend upon how are your ischemia times, right? So invariably, if you are doing DCD in India, so I mean, you're going to expect some times there, so you're going to have a DGF. And typically our patients open up after 3 to 4 weeks. So that's a period of, again, a challenge. So do not select your patients. You have to select your patients in a way that they will be able to tolerate this period, right? So you cannot have a 60 years old diabetic as a recipient for these kidneys, right? So if your selection is good and your management of immunosuppression is good, I think then you can expect that after that period the outcomes will be same as DBD. In fact, I mean, DBD is a more is an unselected cohort in the sense that you will have some diabetic donors or elderly donors or some comorbid hypertensive donors. Whereas when you're looking at DCD, you're looking at highly selected young individuals. So long-term outcomes may actually be better if you are able to overcome the early strains.
Thank you, sir. Sanjay Kolte, sir, the next question is regarding the regional coordination for DCD. So how important is the regional coordination between hospitals, government bodies, transplant coordinators in facilitating these successfully, the DCDs? Sanjay Kolte, sir. Kolte, sir, can you hear me, sir? Amol, sir, can you answer this question, or and also if you can tell us about the difference in renal? Sir has already told about the renal difference in renal outcomes at PJ Chandigarh. So in your cohort, in the 3 DCDs, was there any difference in the renal outcomes between DCD as compared to the DBD?
Sir, it's actually my code is very small. Actually, this is only a 6 patients and only a 3 donations. To extrapolate from that, it will be very
Yes.
difficult. As we know, the international data and data from these 2 great centers, PGI and IKDIC, already shows that control and uncontrolled both the DCDs have comparable outcome with the that comparable outcome with the DBDs. So in our case, our first DCDs were working well. Still that both the recipients has good creatinine. In second DCD time, when the one of the recipient got acute renal vein thrombosis, we'll have to do a graft nephrectomy on day 4. We have to lose that kidney. In fact, in that both there was a urine on table, or first day urine output was very good, but then unfortunately there was a thrombus and we have to lose that kidney. Another one patient, we had some immunological challenges. Basically, there was many preform antibodies. So the patient later on, after achieving a minimum creatine of 1.2 or 1.3, the patient had ABMR. Now it is settled around creatine 2 to 2.5, 2 to 2.5. So these are some challenges we had already. One patient is having now just having a TMA like A. So these are some challenges which are I think which cannot be directly related to the DCD as a process. DCD as a process, I think it's good doable, because there was a good out of the 6 patients, and on 3 patients we had on table urine output. On an average per first day urine output was around 1 liter. So that process of DCD, I think that what can from such a small data we can interpret that is good. But some immunological challenges, because we get a very less time in case of a DCD, and there is no choice of declining that kidney, because there is no takers in DCD. It's more of an in-house affair. So for another center at the middle of the night, if you say, "No, we already retrieved the kidney, please take that kidney," so it is not possible for them also. We have to be very sure in selecting the kidney, because there are 2 arms. One, surgeon's anesthetist who's looking after that donor point of view. So how it is uncontrolled, control, or what is the warm ischemia time. They are struggling with that. And the nephrologist on the other hand is preparing for a recipient, because recipient readiness is important. If you don't have any recipient, then all that resource intensive that work is going to be in the vain. So the selection of recipient important, and another time is that we should have some in-house immunological test, so that not only this CDC, for example, flu, that would be better actually. So in that case, we only have available resources here in the Nagpur is CDC. So we face some immunological challenges like ABMR, and that is because of in early ABMR is mostly because of pre-form antibodies. The antibodies titers are around 10,000, 15,000 is too high. So these are some challenges, but per se as a DCD related, I think both the three DCD went to good. I think it's it is a short term, we can say it's a doable things. That's only we can tell.
Thank you, Amol sir. You have already told us about the pre-donation care also, which is needed in DCD related to kidneys. Sir Anil Kumar sir, next question is for you, sir. How can the public awareness campaigns be enhanced to educate general public and healthcare professionals about the importance of DCD in organ donation? Anil sir.
Yeah. It is important, like because I think what we understand that if we promote DCD and where the the donation is happening after the heart has stopped, and so I think it may be the general perception, it may be more acceptable to the public. So, because brainstem death, still the people remain in doubt that they are. So that is one thing. Second, we have to explain to the very well explain to the uh, patients, relatives, that that this is a situation of futility of care, where as permissible the withdrawal of care can be can be undertaken, and in a controlled situation, like as per the guidelines which are like going to be issued. So and if the patient also relatives, they also understand that this is a they have to be counseled well at the same time by the hospital staff, by the doctors particularly, and they understand the situation that if we allow this controlled withdrawal of life support, uh, and then perhaps it will be more useful, that organs will not get damaged, and they will remain functional, and they can be used in the patients who are waiting. So the public in general has to be educated in all our campaigns. We need to promote. Right now we are promoting that the organs are best donated after brainstem death, where before the heart stops, the person the family is agreeing for donation, and we counsel them for brainstem death donation. So, but we have to then promote, because right now we are not going into this. We are not even promoting this, that this is possible. But legally we are saying it is possible. But as far as campaign promotion, we are focusing on brainstem death donations. So definitely, once the things start, more and more centers start doing it, and more and more acceptability is there, then people, it can be easily, as part of that, the donation is possible even after cardiac death, if it is happening in an institution, in a controlled situation, where it is the patient and the and when particularly in situation, it will be more easy. So the pledge campaign which is going on, and currently we have more than 1,85,000 people have pledged since last year's 17th September. So we are approaching 17th September again. So in less than 1 year, around 1.85 lakh, 86 lakh people have pledged through their Aadhaar. And this data, and such people, if they, more and more, people join this movement, so they have already consented for organ donation in advance, and such families can be counseled well to explain the situation. Transparency is the key. We have to be very transparent whenever we are counseling. It has to be completely informed consent. And if there is any kind of a doubt gets created in the mind of the of the attendants or the family members, then the program will not be able to progress. So we have to be very transparent. We have to explain the situation very well at that time, and in advance we have to make this as part of the campaign for organ donation, that it is possible to donate after heart stoppage also. So
Thank you, sir. So, Ashish sir, the last question for you. It's regarding the operational challenges in DCD, sir. So what are the key operational challenges in performing DCD in India, such as it is regarding time constraints or regarding coordination or even the surgical techniques, and how can they be improved? Ashish, sir.
So I think there are a lot of challenges here. So, and some of them which we will not be able to overcome. So first is the infrastructure. Infrastructure, as in sense, our hospitals and the emergency, which is done outside the hospital. Like if you look at Spain, so if you had a cardiac arrest, within 3 minutes, patient is in the ER, right? So we will never be able to achieve that. Same, if somebody has a cardiac arrest, if you think that you will be able to have the consent within the next half an hour, that's not going to be possible. Unlike countries where you have an opt-in system that everybody has a presumed consent to be an organ donor. So across the world, if you see that most of these donations have flourished only after a controlled DCD where there is an electively withdrawal of life support in an end of life situation. So we need to be working towards that if you want to promote DCD in India. That makes it an elective procedure rather than something which you are doing in the middle of night and which maybe only very few centers, the experienced ones, possibly can do it. But there is a lot of struggle otherwise, right? So if you see the overall scenario, I don't see many hospitals would be able to do it. And even if they do it, they will not be able to get on the results which we have been able to. So the bottom line is to work towards withdrawal of life support. And I think we need to have all societies, which we are already doing. We have a group of professionals from the critical care societies and the transplant societies working together to make national guidelines. How much we are able to do it, it's going to be a hard task.
Thank you very much, sir. Sanjay Kolte, sir, are you here, sir?
Yeah, I'm there.
Sir, so the next question is for you regarding the regional coordination for DCD. So how important is the regional coordination between hospitals, government bodies, and transplant coordinators in facilitating successful DCD donations?
I think the same kind of cooperation that exists for brainstem death donation, the same kind of cooperation can probably work for even DCDs. At least for the type 3 type of DCDs, this cooperation can be, the time frame can be relatively permissive to have a coordination. All other types of DCDs would be so difficult to coordinate unless, of course, we are equipped with organ maintenance infrastructure in the form of perfusion mechanics and the organ preservation devices, which as of now is a very limited option for various transplant centers. With regards to otherwise the coordination, I can exemplify from our own experience in Nagpur ZTCC. The first DCD that happened in AIMS, it was actually going to be a BSD donation, but because the second apnea could not happen, we progressed with the DCD type of donation. And that times when the hospital which was going to get one kidney, they declined it because they were not really very keen on taking a DCD kidney. So when they declined it and we transplanted both the kidneys at AIMS Nagpur, and on the 28th day, when both of them were discharged, one with a creatinine of 0.9 and the other one with a creatinine of 1.1, the next DCD, when it happened, all the hospitals were really very keen on taking those kidneys because the example was in front of them that even DCD kidneys work equally good as do BSD kidneys. With regards to the liver, first time again, the liver team was there. We had a incoming team from a distant place. They had already reached for the BS because that was going to be a BSD donation. So they reached in time, but by the time they reached, they realized that the patient had been opened up and the kidneys were being harvested. So they realized that they were probably not sure how long back the heart had stopped working. And so they chose not to take the liver because that would be a risky option. But second and third time, again, the liver was not probably in a position to be transplanted for medical reasons. after our first BSD, there were webinars happening through Fortis Hospital, Mumbai, wherein they elaborately asked us how we went about with our donation in Nagpur. That time, even Pune people participated, and you can see the result. The exam, it's so contagious. The results are so good. They are so inspiring that Pune did the first DCD from that army hospital, and they could send a organ to the place as far as Delhi also. We are not sure how the organ worked there, but definitely, as far as the literature says, there's no difference between organs that are transplanted after a DCD or after a BSD. They are probably the difference on a long-term basis is just about 1 or 2%, 92 and 93%. So as regards to regional coordination, my primary thinking is that all the personnel who are dealing with deceased donor transplantation, they need to be very keenly aware about the definitions of DCDs, and they should be very keenly looking out for options of DCD whenever it is available. The definition of cardiac death, the utility of patients with cardiac death and their organs for transplantation has to be probably educated at levels, higher secondary levels, when the students are taught human anatomy. That time, if after death, what are the possibilities about these organs? If that is extrapolated, that is educated to the young minds at that age, probably the inclination towards pledging of organs or consenting to organ donation of their relatives would be much, much higher. So the concept has to be probably implanted into their minds at a very early stage. And I think through NOTO, this initiative really can be taken up by taking the education ministry into confidence and inserting this thing into the curriculum. Definitions of BSD, definitions of DCD, and the utility of organs after both types of death and their functioning, and how the examples probably can be quoted in their text in the chapters in their textbooks. And as regards our own ZTCC Nagpur, we had publicized it very heavily. AIMS Nagpur also publicized their first DCD, and Amol had said it that very eloquently. When the second DCD was given a honor corridor, there was an immediate willingness from a family. So these are really very throbbing examples. The society at large really gets very highly motivated towards donation when they realize that this is something which is going to happen for humanity, and there's no self-interest of the performing or the counseling team involved. So this is how it should be.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. So, Amol, sir, the next question is for you. It's regarding the role of nephrologist in expanding DCD. So, what role can the nephrologist community play in expanding DCD programs, in creating the awareness among patients, families, and the broader medical community?
Sir, I already elaborated in the first example. So
Yes, sir,
the effect of awareness, because awareness create an opportunity. That's what I think. If you create an awareness, it will automatically creates an opportunity. And from a nephrologist point of view, I think, and from a medical person point of view, we should tap a small opportunity we are getting. For example, we should try from simple things, like many of the time you see tube apnea has been done and patient crashes and organ go west. So that should not happen. At least where two apnea has been already done, now their organ we should try our best to take that utilize that organ. So these are some easy things, like for example, in case our first apnea was done, so many times we are not able to do second apnea. So then at their situation, so you already has a recipient ready. Most of the time you have the result of immunological test ready also. So these things, these opportunity, like a simple opportunity, we should tap this, and then go to the more complex things like uncontrolled DCDs. Best option is to absolutely there is no other option than type 3 DCD, because majority of DCDs happening in the Western world are only type 3 DCDs with the proper withdrawal of life support. But now the Supreme Court directives come in 2023, though many stakeholders are not aware of that, and there is no widespread dissemination of that guidelines also. So many people will hesitate while doing this until we don't have any proper document from the bodies like NOTO or higher authorities. So that is one point. Another things is we should try to best for a DBD, and we should prepare for DCD. That's how it goes. We should try our best for a DB. At least we try best for first apnea, second apnea. If you are not getting, then we should take see an opportunity for the DCD. Because DCD you only aiming for DCD, it will not happen, or it will not happen in that day. For a DCD to increase, DBD should be increased, because I think there is a more scope of increasing DBD, donation of brain death, because only 10% of the donation happening through DBDs. Already there is a lot of ground to increase our DBD. With DBD increase, DCD will automatically pick up. It will pick up at slow speed, but pick up. Another thing is we should keep trying. Keep trying is the only things that will give us a prompt of some more questions, and we'll find more answers. Like Ashish sir has already elaborated many complexities and many challenges. But that all the challenges and complexities we came to know after we have done this, whatever small work happening from the India. So, but we should keep moving ahead. And as a nephrologist, I think nephrologist community should more involve in the process of retrieval and process of organ donations also. So that will help in a larger way to take an interest in the DCD. If you find on the literature, there will be a lot of literature regarding maintenance of the brain dead donor, how to do a apnea test. There will be a lot of video, educational video. There will be on the NOTO website. You will get in every NOTO, SOTO website all the things about DBD. But if you try to find out DCD, there is no standardized protocol in the India. So what things we should avoid? How to go? What are the legal loopholes? What should be done? For example, in MLC cases, our first case was a MLC. So at the middle of the night, we called the police. They are clueless about. They have never heard things like this. So it is very difficult to explain them. So that is where awareness help us. So now they are doing for that. We have a police, small police things are there in the AIMS campus only. That police chowki is looking after these cases. So these peoples, we are educating them, and now they are little well aware of these things. This is happening. So, but this has to be done at a larger scale. And more and more centers should step in. Those centers who have already well established techniques and there are resource persons are there and infrastructures are there. At least try to do a type 4 DCD. Try to initiate with that. That's, I think, the way forward.
Thank you, Amol sir. As you have rightly said, an organ should never be missed, either as DBD or DCD. It should never be missed. As we are running short of time, sir, the last question is for Anil Kumar, sir, regarding the long-term vision for DCD in India. So, sir, what is your long-term vision for DCD in India, and how can India learn? So, how the other centers in India can learn from the international models as well as our own Indian models like PGI Chandigarh and AIMS Nagpur to increase the DCD pool?
So basically, what I understand that as Dr. Amol has clearly, also that such cases where we are going for DBD, but we land up in DCD situation. So and those situations, the patients have already been identified. Most of the consent is already there, and so we definitely need DCD. For such situation, like type 4 is a low hanging fruit. Similarly, there are cases which are going LAMA, left against medical advice, because there the option they say either you agree for donation with a beating heart or you are not. But if they can be counseled well, and they can be, so how many of they can be and a SOP, how to go about DCD donation, and that SOP needs to be put in place. and it can be like with the consensus based agreement of all the societies and experts, that this is the standard operating procedure when you are going for DCD donation. Definitely these missed opportunities when we are missing because of the cardiac death happening before the retrieval or between the brainstem death testing or during the brainstem death testing. So those cases can be easily, converted to the DCD as per the SOPs, and they can be taken up for organ retrieval because they're already being maintained. There is some bit of a controlled situation over there. So long-term vision as such for India is that we need to increase donation after death, that is the deceased donation, and DCD has to be a part of these deceased donations which are going to happen in future, and a substantial at least and more DCD donation we look forward to in future as proportion of the total DCD deceased donations which will be there, and we definitely will be able to increase the pool and the pool of donation as well as the number of donations, and upgrading ourselves from the kidney to the other organs in a gradual way is the way forward. So that's all. So thank you so much for
Thank you
for
very much,
holding
sir.
this important webinar. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, all respected panelists, for sharing your precious time and enlightening us for DCD and improving the DCD cohort in all over India. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank
The
you.
video will be available, sir, on YouTube. I will share the link for. It's available to everyone, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.